I want to turn now to yet another huge development and yet another huge Trump case. Trump posting bond in his New York civil fraud case. And joining me now to discuss, Shark Tank Judge Kevin O'Leary is also the chairman of O'Leary Ventures. Gosh, it's been too long, Kevin. I feel such peace. Nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm glad to be here with you. I've enjoyed this narrative with you, I must admit. And, you know, people have focused on it being some kind of a very partisan issue. You love Trump, you hate Trump, you like Biden, you don't like him. I've never thought this case was about partisan politics. I thought it was about the law and the baseline by which we live in our economy that's been so successful. I've always thought that was what was at stake, and I'm glad we've maintained that narrative.
Well, you know, and unfortunately or fortunately, people view the world through political lenses, especially 270 days away from general election. But when you look at what's happening right now, he has avoided the seizure of his assets for now. He has been able to post a bond. It was not the high $454 million fraud fine bond that you said was too high. They gave him a lower threshold to meet. What do you think about that lower threshold? Was it truly a crisis averted for Trump?
I'm elated by what's occurred here, not because it's supporting Donald Trump or it isn't. It's because the system is working, Laura. You've got to think about what's so important here about the American brand. 175 years, attracting trillions of dollars, number one economy on earth, because of the transparencies of our laws, the Constitution, which represents and discusses property rights over 25 times, and the appellate court system that allows you your second time in court if you thought you've been done wrong. Now, if you believed that the infraction did not match the penalty, which many people on a bipartisan basis thought was a little out of whack in that $500 million penalty, which made it very hard to get a bond in the first place, which did not allow the appellate system to kick in, that was a big problem. But that's been alleviated, and there's a big sigh of relief. And why did that happen? Because the adults came in the room and realized it was bad for the American brand and bad for our system and bad for New York. And this is just the best way to think about it is the analogy of a mother pearl. That's what I like to think of. And our economy is the mother pearl. And a little piece of sand got in it in New York. And the mother pearl protected it by creating a pearl around it. And now that irritant is gone and the system keeps working. Thank goodness, Laura. Thank goodness.
Well, you obviously can't see my hands. I like diamonds, baby. And let me tell you about diamonds. The idea that you have to go through some stuff to ensure that everything cannot essentially be ruined and crumbled, think about that. The market can work in such a way, the laws can work in such a way, people can rely upon the funding apparatuses and loans by virtue of having a solid system that punishes and deters to prevent people from doing anything fraudulent. Now, you and I are not going to convince one another about whether this is victimless or a problem, but I am curious about the idea of the knight in shining armor. Again, the diamond metaphor continuing with the shine. Knight Specialty Insurance, they stepped in and basically said they're going to be good for the money if Trump loses his appeal. There were many who turned down should I call it an opportunity for them to step in? Why did they? Was it the lower amount or was it the cause?
I think what matters here is that it allows the appellate system to move forward. Now, what the final outcome is unknown, but at least the system worked, that the trust in the American system of fairness and transparency and the appellate system of appeal all the way to Supreme Court is what allows me as an investor to get on a plane on Wednesday night, fly all around the world to go raise $3.6 billion, tell these investors, as they have for years, trusted America, let me bring that $3.6 billion back here to do a real estate development in data centers. Now, I have removed the slide that had New York in it because right now we don't want to talk about New York risk. Things are still a little funky chicken, as you know, and people don't want to take any risk in New York. And I'm just one investor. But believe me, that deck, everybody running around the world raising money, I'm just one of them, is not talking about New York right now. We're waiting to see how this plays out. Why take New York risk? New York did that to themselves. I didn't do it to them. They did it to themselves. This money is going to one of 7 other states where we've identified it's safe to deploy $3.6 billion, not New York.
But Kevin,
I'm
you do realize
hopeful.
that
I'm
seems
hopeful.
counterintuitive to people. I mean, I would, and granted, I don't have those rich money problems about where to invest the money, but I do have concerns. I'd rather invest my money in a place where the laws would protect against somebody committing fraud against me, where what they tell me they have before I make an investment deal, how they evaluate their property, is actually in line with what the valuation is. That would make me feel safer as an investor, but maybe that's different between me and a gazillionaire. But speaking of investments, I want to ask you this, because while I have you, Truth Social comes to mind. The Truth Social stock, specifically. It plunged today. It lost more than 21% after its owner disclosed the company lost more than $58 million back in 2023. And I'm really curious, from somebody like yourself, so focused on investments, is that a stock you would invest in?
I think all social media stocks are under tremendous scrutiny as a result with the process going on TikTok right now. Laura, you can't ignore this bill that's going through Congress. I mean, TikTok is under fire and under siege, but it's just another social media site. And whatever happens, whether this bill passes or it doesn't, and it's highly likely to pass, it's put tremendous pressure on the social media industry. And I think one of the casualties is a new stock like this, which is going to be very, very volatile. It's not profitable yet, but we don't know the outcome of the TikTok situation. And so what will the laws look like on social media post TikTok? And whether it gets acquired by an American owner and it turns from TikTok China, everybody knows it's basically spyware. I mean, nobody's even debating that anymore. And they would never let us have a TikTok USA in China, so we're not going to let them have one here. But that is part of the problem with the volatility. Now,
I hear you on volatility, Kevin, but the TikTok scenario is quite different, because one, it's a prospective ban based on a potential divestment by Chinese owner ByteDance, and whether they will actually do that or not. Also, Truth Social has a fraction of the users. It's being, frankly, panned, and as a result of the losses that it's had, it might be prospectively profitable, but it's not now. So would you now invest in it?
Well, obviously, it's another platform, and it's got into the controversy around Trump. And yes, it's volatile and it's smaller, but it's not the only one that's lost. You said 21% decline today in today's trading. I mean, Twitter, now X, it's down 66%, and it's private from its 44 billion valuation. These companies are volatile, and that's no different than what Trump's got. And, whether it's a good stock or bad stock, you have to wait to see the outcome. But it is a viable platform. It's got millions of people following it. You may not like the fact that it's so tied to Trump, or maybe you do. It depends on the way you look at it. I'm kind of agnostic to all that stuff. I just look at it as a participant in a sector that is really taking over media. TikTok's one of the largest media companies in America.
Why are you talking to me about TikTok, though? I'm talking about Truth Social. I hear you talking about the volatility and the profitability. I'm just curious, do you have stock in any of the other social media platforms? And if you do, why not this one? If it's just about volatility and prospective profits.
No, I do not own it. I buy indices. It's not in an index yet. It's just gone public. It'll find its way into an index. That way I don't have to be exposed to one large position, one stock. I'm an ETF guy. I buy indices. So I get the market trend, and I don't get caught up in a narrative around one stock. But, when you talk to me about declines in social media stocks, I have to point out that there are others that have lost even more. So I don't think it's specific to the Trump stock, or it isn't. But the most important thing that you and I have been on this narrative for the last 6 weeks about is our system works and the American brand is safe. Yes, New York's in a penalty box for a while. I'm confident it'll come out. I'm not going to go sell New York right now, nor is anybody else with a lot of money or trying to raise money, because it's still in a situation where we're waiting to see the outcome of this. But the appellate system is safe. The American brand is safe, and the adults came in the room, and I am proud of that. I know, Laura, you're happy for me on this one. I know you're happy for me.
I'm thrilled. I'm waiting for my mother of pearl necklace that will look wonderful on my next outfit. Thank you, Kevin O'Leary.